5 things I would teach my kids as an African mom. I don't have kids, but I believe I'm very good with kids. My young siblings are like very young, some of them are very young, so I choose to believe I'm very good with kids. So as we're doing this, I want to try to do this everyday simple makeup. I've never done makeup before. This is like my first time. Can I say I've never done it before? Yeah, I've never done it before. So this is like my first time. I don't even have like the entire set of like products. It's just like for keeping me busy as I'm talking. Yeah, because I just don't want to stand still. That's the whole point. Yes. All the time I'm like, okay, let me do makeup, and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, no, I just want to stay like that. I'll just put maybe some like blush, some lipstick, and just like align my eyebrows and everything, and then I'm done. So I'm just like, what's going on? Before I get into the 5 things I would teach my kids as an African mom, let me show you the things that I have, and I'll show you how I want this makeup to turn out. So this is the video I'm going to be referring to. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I don't know if it can really show. It's just like a simple everyday makeup. So let me show you the things that I have. Foundation. This is a whole set I bought. This and this I bought them in Zambia at some shop. I won't say the name of the shop because I didn't like their customer service. I think customer service in Zambia is really bad. So I can't even say the name of the shop because I just didn't like how they were dealing with their workers. Not particularly me, but just the workers. I didn't like it, so you won't get a shout out. This I bought it here, and this this is so odd. Look at this. Oh, and this was a gift for me on my birthday from my friend. She's from Ethiopia, so these are the shades which are there. What else? From Zambia, from here. This is blush. This I got it here. This is lipstick, pink. I like pink. And then this is the powder also. I also got it from Zambia in that same shop. I did like, she's starting with the eyebrows. Things to do like with eyebrows. I'm so scared to trim them. What if I don't return to my original cut? You get right. I think I'm like this for a lot of things. Today I went to like buy some cosmetics, and I wanted like a face wash. Most of them were like brightening what. I'm just like I don't want to get what I don't know, because if it gives me another shade of what my skin is not like, and then I have a challenge to return back to my normal, that would be a big no. I think for those people who don't use a lot of like products for your face and everything, I guess you understand, like when you're in that transition where you use absolutely nothing apart from like the same lotion you're using for your body is what you're using for your face, to like, okay, let me just have a small package. And then just you become so hesitant to, what should I really pick? What would really work for me? Is it going to ruin my skin? What if I don't go back to my original skin? The pressure. 5 things I would teach my kids differently as an African mother is 1, they need to love reading. Like that one is not even an option. Number 1, they need to love reading, because the amount of things I would want them to know about would require them to read, and I want them to know how to read at a very young age. So they should love reading. There's nothing like, oh, reading is not my talent, it's not my what. We are going to make that talent, and thank God they'll be my kids, so you won't tell me anything. That looks good. Because why I'm saying so, for me, I had to force myself to love reading. Initially I didn't love reading. You would read for an exam because you don't want to fail the test, but just reading in general, where you're like curious, you get a book, what, for me that wasn't a thing I used to do. And I always used to think, why didn't my parents like put that in me when I was too young? It would have been so easy. I would just get a book, a big book, and just finish it. So that's something I would love to do. I don't even know what I'm doing. I would teach them to learn some instruments. Mostly if they love music, they will learn some instruments when they're still young. Because again, I always used to think, why didn't my parents teach me these things when I was young? Is this how you put? Oh my god, this feels so heavy. Is this even my tone? Yeah, but I always used to think, I'm like, oh my goodness, why didn't my parents teach me at least some instruments, especially that I'm someone who loves music. I love music so much. So I always used to adore like people who would play like, you know, the keyboard, the guitar, just something, something which is out of the normal. So I was used to think, oh my goodness, if my parents taught me when I was young, it wouldn't have been so difficult now. Because the other thing is, learning things when you are big is not very easy. You get, it requires consistency, discipline, and commitment. But when you are young, all those things are just like it doesn't even look like a struggle, because it would be like your parents just telling you, oh, you do this. You get, it's almost like you won't even remember when you learned. That's the thing. It's almost like you won't even remember when you learned. So that's one thing. So I would pick up their interest if I see, oh, my child is showing interest in this, and if it comes with some gadgets or anything, yeah, I would teach them. I think even if they don't love music, I'll just teach them to play some instruments. I think it's so good. You get, like, it's just like an extra thing. They don't even have to love music. I'll just teach them. I'll be their mother anyway, and you won't even tell me anything because I'll be their mother. So guys, what do you think? Do you think this is my shade and this is just foundation? How do you think? What do you think? I don't even know. Those who do makeup, I know they're like, you know, there are places they put here. I don't get kicking kind to lean back. Let me show you. Do you think this is like my tone, like my color? Is it going with my skin? If it is, please tell me. Say yes. Then I'll know, oh, this is my shade. Oh, they say shade. I'm learning a lot of things, huh? My kids would speak at least 2 local languages. At least 2. No exception. At least 2 local languages. And one thing I would teach them is English is just a language, a mode of communication. It's just a mode of communication. That's it. Nothing attached. You don't become better just because you can speak English. So I would teach them to love their language. They will speak at least 2 local languages. Those are Zambian languages. Yes, those are just like minimum 2. Because for me, I can speak 2, but I can understand more than 2. You get? So they just have to. That's the minimum. They're my kids, so you won't tell me anything. What did she do after this? Hey, so these guys, they put, I thought the blush is put after the powder, but you put it and then the powder on top. Does that make sense? So yeah, I would teach them my language, and I'll tell them English is just a way of communication. It's a language you use to communicate outside your borders. Nothing like, oh, when you go to the mall you can't speak. I'm saying this because that's how it is in Zambia. You know, when you go to the mall, people force themselves to speak English. I don't like it. A fancy place calls for a fancy language, which is not the case. Like, I'm sure even the owners of English, they just look at us and laugh like, oh my god, you guys are so backwards. Imagine, be like other countries who are doing better. In Tanzania, they do that. In Ethiopia, they speak. Those East African countries. Now us busy forcing ourselves with Chizongo, Yes. Hey, it's shenanigans. Anyway, my viewers, some of them can't understand, so I speak English. Yeah, and those was, oh, but you're using English. It's because I'm speaking to you and I know you don't understand. So this is the shade I'm using. The 4th thing I would teach my kids. Is it 4th or is this 4th or 3rd? No, 4th. The 4th thing I would teach my kids is to be expressive. Especially with how the world is moving. I'm sure when it's our time to be parents, it's going to be a very, very different environment and it will call for different ways of doing things, but still maintaining the principles, because principles don't change, you get, right? But the strategies and the ways of doing things definitely are going to be a bit different from how our parents used to do it. So I would teach them to be very expressive. I would want to know what's going on in their lives, and I want to be the one person they talk to if they're having any issues, if they're having any questions, no matter how difficult the question might seem. I want them to know that I will still be there to provide an answer. I might not tell them what they expect, but they should know that I'm open. And just in general, they should just be expressive. I don't want them to be like very shy, even like in spaces, you know, which call for you to just be like out there. I don't want them to be timid or anything. I just want them to be expressive. And I think that's something which can be taught when you are young. As I told you, like, I've stayed with kids, so I feel like I know how kids grow, and I've had like a chance to like watch, you know, my siblings like be groomed and grow, and then you see some traits, you're like, this is because this person was constantly being taught this and this, and that's why they're acting like this, you get, right? So I've seen all that. So I think I'll be very intentional with what I tell them, because I want them to be expressive and not to be timid. I feel like these powders, it's made me look a bit brighter, like anyway, what do you guys see? I will go with this shade. So number 5, I'll give you a number 6 as bonus. I will mind like whom I leave them with, because I've seen like sometimes the people you will leave your kids with tell them things that you don't want them to consume at that moment. Mind you, when kids are like very young, you can really groom them to like a lot of things that you want them to portray when they grow, and that's why that point in life is like very, very crucial. And if people suggest to them things, then that becomes their line of like thought, and it starts operating in them even subconsciously. So I would really mind whom to like leave my kids with. And I've just seen like some people, like they would tell your kids things that you don't even want your kids to learn. Get? Anyway, I don't want to be like very specific. I feel like I should combine it with this. Your method of parenting should align with the person you're leaving your kids with. So maybe you give them an interview or something, like to know how they think, how they do things, you get, right? Like for instance, if the way I'm saying, I'm like, I want my kids to learn this and this language, and then I'm leaving them with a person who's like, you can't speak English like this, you're not this, you're not this. And for me, I'm like, no, that's not how I want them to be raised. I don't want them to look at life in that way, especially that, you know, they're my kids and they're African, so I just don't want them to see things in that way, you get, right? So even if I was to leave them with someone, that person should really almost think like me. Yeah. And that's why they should be expressive, because I want to know whatever is going on. They should be able to tell me, auntie, or this person said this, I didn't like it, so that you are able to like jump in before it's too late. And that's why it's very, very important. And number 6, which is a bonus, is I will restrict phone time, like the amount of time, screen time, the amount of time they spend on the phone. So about like what age they should have a phone, it's something I haven't yet thought about. But one thing is for sure is I would restrict their screen time. Restrict. They should be able to spend time with family. They should be able to talk to people. Because imagine, like, this is like my generation, and I know even for myself, like I know how, like I can see the difference. When we were like very young, the phones were not like, you know, so much. I can like see the difference with the way we would play. I'm looking for this. I've already moisturized. I saw she moisturized, so I would see, like, you know, we would play with our friends. But these days, when you're just on the phone, your friend is inside there, your everything is inside, like almost like everything has just been compacted in that small gadget. So what I would do different is I would restrict their screen time so that they spend more time with their family, who's us. And also because I just feel like it's now a thing where our minds are just being packaged in these phones. Like everything now is just becoming about the phone. I would restrict that. Yes. Anyway, they're my kids, so you won't tell me anything. So those are the things I would do as an African man. So if there's anything you thought of which I didn't think of, please drop it in the comment section. And I think it's just very important, you know, like kids are a big responsibility, and you just have to be intentional with everything, especially when they are very young. You're the one to determine, you know, what they consume, what they will later think about themselves. Everything that they will internalize will be as a result of your parenting. And if you choose to have them, then you really need to be ready for that responsibility. They're kids, but they're people who grow up to be residents. There are people who grow up to be people's wives, people's husbands, people's parents. So it's very important. It's like you don't want to raise a father, a bad father, a bad mother, a bad brother, a bad president with kids, right? So people have kids, don't take it lightly and be intentional. This is like my first, I can say my first time doing this. Tell me, how do I look on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the least impressive and 10 being the most impressive. How do you rate my makeup? It's been the first time. I'll give myself a 7. Yeah, a 7, because it's my first time. I think the powder is too bright. Yeah, it doesn't suit exactly, but anyway, you guys, what do you see? And if you're new, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Bye from your Zambian girl. And if there's anything that you would want me to like talk about, make sure you leave that in the comment section.